The Great Depression. The images are a reminder of the grim economic factors of the 1930s. It's in the history of the Depression on the prairies you'll find the first anecdotal mention of cooperation in the selling of real estate. The idea was developed by Winnipeg real estate professionals who met for breakfast meetings once a month in the 1930s. They would discuss properties for sale in the region to see if they could cooperate on the sale. By 1950, the Depression was history. The war was over, and Canada's population and economy was booming. The cooperative selling program was more formalized. It wasn't called multiple listing service, but cooperative listing arrangement. This type of arrangement was practiced by real estate professionals in a dozen large Canadian cities. The first formal cooperative listing arrangement was developed by the National Association of Real Estate Boards in the United States. It was adopted in Canada in the 1950s, first by the Toronto Real Estate Board, but it soon became a success in every major Canadian city. Brokers tended to use it as the system of last resort to sell properties they couldn't sell on their own. That quickly changed. It was the Hamilton Board that took the next step and introduced the photo co-op listing service. The same year, the National Association formed an MLS committee to develop bylaws governing the use of an MLS system. In 1955, the association developed a model constitution for the cooperative listing division of real estate boards. It was the first attempt to have national standards for the operation of an MLS system. A snag developed over the use of the name in Alberta and Saskatchewan because provincial statutes required a cooperative to be incorporated under the Cooperative Securities Act. Real estate leaders argued that local boards were non-profit member-based organizations that should not be incorporated as cooperatives. So the name was changed to the Multiple Listing Service, the name it is still known by today. Another milestone occurred in 1966 when sales through MLS passed the $1 billion mark for the first time. By 1976, MLS sales passed the $7 billion mark. And by 1986, MLS sales passed through the $30 billion mark. The multiple listing service is a Canadian success story because it benefits both the members of each real estate board and the consumer. It has worked because while it is a member-based system, it is tied to a number of key consumer services. These are included in a code of ethics, business standards, and professional marketing services. While the Canadian Real Estate Association owns the national MLS trademark, it is the individual boards that respond to local business and consumer needs by adopting local rules or regulations. These rules cover operational details such as listing criteria, data standards, and handling of personal information. This means both the realtor and the consumer can have confidence that the various aspects of the transaction will be handled in a professional manner, subject to common rules and regulations, with a system of local enforcement. There are three fundamentals, or pillars, to the multiple listing service. First, it is member-based. A licensed realtor must be a member of organized real estate to have access to MLS. This is because access is tied to a code of ethics and operating rules and regulations. Second, there must be some form of agency. There is a formal agreement between the seller and the broker, and that comes with legal responsibilities. Any aspect of the transaction must respect those responsibilities. Third, there must be some form of compensation offered to the cooperating office. This is left to the discretion of the listing broker and their client. Here's how the multiple listing service works, starting from the moment a homeowner decides it's time to sell. At that point, the consumer has several competitive options. They can sell their home on their own, known in real estate as a for sale by owner or FSBO. They can call a broker or a realtor for a competitive selling proposal. If a business transfer is involved, they may also be offered the benefit of a relocation service. If the consumer decides to use a broker or a realtor, there are more choices involved. Each broker or realtor has competitive service options or offerings. Homeowners can ask for a full service option, a menu or customized selection of services provided at cost, or they can choose to deal with a broker offering a service for a fixed fee.
Obviously, depending on the type of property that is going to be marketed and what kind of marketing has to be done, affects the amount of compensation that is negotiated. So for instance, when I go in on a listing appointment and I'm sitting there with the seller, he's going to have certain expectations of how I'm going to market that property. And I too have certain expectations on how I would like to market that property to attain the best value possible for that seller. So that's where the negotiation of the compensation comes in.
In our example, the seller has picked full service and decided to sell their home on the multiple listing system. Now the listing realtor and consumer finalize the services to be provided and the terms to be offered to other cooperating members through the MLS listing.
Our brochure details all the professional services we offer. Now, that includes a detailed marketing plan for your home. We'll list your property on the MLS service, place regular ads, conduct open houses, coordinate showings, and help evaluate offers. And unless you get an offer you're satisfied with, there's no cost to you whatsoever.
The realtor or their representative is then responsible for developing the listing, inputting the data about the home into the local real estate board's MLS system. At that point, it is the board's responsibility to ensure that the listing meets local rules and regulations.
Boards create the MLS. We accept listings from our broker members. We then put those listings into a cooperative system, and we upload those to the national website. We actually create the service, and it's used by our broker members for their own benefit and for the benefit of consumers.
The approved listing, with information verified by the listing broker, then gets posted on the local MLS system operated by the real estate board. At this point, no information has been distributed to the public.
In our instance, we take photographs of every listing that comes in to the building. So we provide the photo, we buy tax and assessment information from the municipal government, and we add that to the data that the salespeople provide on the input sheet.
The board will also make property information available to other members through daily bulletins, computer notices, or catalogs. If the consumer wants maximum marketing exposure, they can agree to have the listing details posted on any web-based marketing system. This can include franchise websites, virtual office websites, or on broker reciprocity systems. The listing can also appear on the national MLS.ca website, but the consumer can opt out of this service option if they do not want their property advertised online. If the seller has decided to have the listing displayed on MLS.ca, the local board then uploads the data to a server operated by the Canadian Real Estate Association, where it is processed and posted on the national site. Using our example, the seller has chosen maximum web-based marketing. A realtor sees the listing and has a potential buyer. The realtor contacts the listing broker office for a showing. The result is an offer. So the seller has another choice to make. They can accept the offer, return it with some proposed changes, or turn it down altogether. In our example, the offer is accepted. The agent for the buyer and the listing realtor then provide the services and expertise required to finalize the transaction. Throughout this process, the seller has had competitive choices at 5 points during the transaction. First, to sell on his own or use a broker or realtor. Second, what level of broker service to use. Third, what type of listing system to use. Fourth, what compensation to offer cooperating brokers. Fifth, whether to accept the offer or not. The Multiple Listing Service, or MLS, means professional standards to realtors. It means an associated code of ethics that guides the professional manner and services of real estate professionals. The Multiple Listing Service means choices for consumers, including access to an effective, efficient marketing system that brings together the professional marketing efforts of the entire realtor profession in Canada.